Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat Podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, your host. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, please subscribe. Leave us a comment if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a star, leave us some stars, leave us a comment, especially if you love it. Now, it's time for me to introduce my guest. Her name is Sandra James, and I want to bring her to the stage now. Sandra, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast. She is a serial entrepreneur. She's built several businesses from the ground up, and she currently serves as CEO of Private Eyes Background Screening Group. And she has decades of experience running multi-million-dollar businesses. She loves giving back to her community by serving on nonprofit boards and mentoring other women. She's a mother of two grown men, and she is proud and happily married to her husband. And she and her husband divide their time between Nevada, California, and Florida. She's also the best-selling author of Don't Tell Me I Can't, a book that she hopes inspires others to pursue all of their dreams. If you want more information, head over to privateeyesbackgroundchecks.com. Again, that's privateeyesbackgroundchecks.com. Sandra, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
Thank you, Melinda, for having me here today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you. You are like, someone that I hope to emulate someday. When you and I met, you told me that you had been a CEO for 40 years. And I was like, girl, let me please take my hat off to you, because I want to know, I want to know how you did it. Tell us a little bit about your background, and then tell me, what do you think has been the key to your success?
Well, I didn't plan. I didn't when I was a little girl, I didn't think, oh, I'm going to be CEO. I went through so many challenges and so many things. And then, I started in the information business working for someone else, and I was doing sales. And then I was doing really well at sales. So I was bringing in lots of business, and the operations couldn't keep up with it. So they said, we want you to do the operations too, but they wanted to cut my pay. And so they wanted me to do two jobs for less. And one of my clients said, Sandra, you should just start your own company. And at the time I was like, I have terrible credit and I have no money. How would I be able to do that? And eventually one of the people that I worked for, he and his wife lent me $10,000. And I started my first business. And we agreed that if he was still competing with me at the end of a year, then, if he wasn't competing with me at the end of a year, that he would be my partner, because he wasn't happy with the partnership he had. And so he didn't think he would stay in it. But at the end of a year, he was still in it. So I said, can I just buy you out? And he said, yes. So he helped me with knowledge, and, he lent me a few $1,000s throughout that first year. But I paid him back, and he made a profit on it at the end of a year. So then I just remained 100% owner of my first business that I started in 1989. So almost 4 decades, Melinda. I'm not quite to 4 decades, but almost there. And, I built that business. And I just remember when I first started it, my first month, I needed to bill $10,000 a month. That was my goal. I had one employee, I had rent to pay. I had a 1-bedroom apartment and a car payment. And I thought I need to build $10,000 so I can pay myself enough to pay my bills and pay my one employee, right? And the first month I billed over $9,000. And from then on, I cash flowed the business. And, it's that $10,000 that someone lent me to get started really was, a catalyst to my success, right? So I learned how to grow organically and pay for things as I built my revenue. So, back then I'd buy a new computer and then just get another one and get another employee as I built the revenue.
Mm-hmm. So how would you say your perspective on leadership has evolved overall, since you first started back then to now?
Well, it has totally evolved. Thank goodness for all the people around me that have tolerated me to go through this experience, because I grew up on a farm in Nebraska, And I learned, I had to do manual labor from the time I could walk, right? My dad wanted all boys and he got a bunch of girls. So he needed help and we had to do manual labor. And I think that really set me up for success. But what it did do is he was also hostile. He was under a lot of pressure with 9 kids, I guess, and stuff. So, it was, I think that I learned to do more with spice than make it nice, so I had to change over the years because I had a revolving door when I first opened my business. For years, I would tell you, I learned how to do every piece of the business. So I do sales during the day, I do the work at night, and I was really demanding of the people that work for me. And I still am today, but I overutilized my team. So people worked a lot of overtime. And I was working a lot. So I expected everybody to want to do that. And not everybody wanted to. And it took me a while to get that. And so today I have a team that's been with me most of my team has been with me over a decade. And so, I underutilize my team more, but they have the capacity and the knowledge and the expertise that that we can scale because they can do more. We can do more with the same team. So, learning that was a painful process to go through when I look back at it, because when I was younger, I thought, I can do their job. Now I tell them when I give a job away, I don't ever want it back. I want you to keep it. I want you to stay with me forever. And I want you to be the expert in that area. So I guess it just took time to go from that mentality of what I learned growing up about, just working tons of hours and doing manual labor and it being hard, to that you go further with a team. You can go alone or you can go further with the team. When you have a team behind you that is willing and knowledgeable and they get the skills that they need, it makes your life really much easier as a CEO. And then you can do the part that you're good at.
Did you feel like you were challenged as a woman leader in your business? And how did you overcome that?
Absolutely. I mean, there's been so many things where, when I look back at some of the things that have happened with customers and, things that people would say to my staff. And when I was younger, I was like, they're not going to come to our office. Don't worry about it. They were rude. They did this. Today, I tell my team, if somebody's rude, they need to go work with someone else. We only want to work with nice people that are going to appreciate the value of the quality that we give to them. Mm-hmm. And so has not been easy as a woman. I never really looked at it like that was the problem, though. I didn't really look at it like it's because I'm a woman that I'm not winning this RFP or that I'm not, I didn't even know that there was something called WeBank through certified. WeBank is Women Business Enterprise National Council, which certifies women-owned businesses across the United States. And there's over 20,000 women that are certified through that. And what that organization does is it helps make connections for women to work with other women business owners and to work with Fortune 500 companies. And so, but I didn't get certified until 2002. I've been self-employed since 1989. So for all those years, I didn't know that there was, I didn't think that. I started when I was so young that I didn't think it was about whether I was a woman or not. But, when I look back now, I can see, oh, that's not normal that should have happened, right? Sure. The way that someone handled an opportunity that we won and then didn't give it to us and said, well, our other vendor is having us drive their Ferraris or do this or do that, And it was a long time ago that those conversations came up. But at the time, I didn't know that wasn't okay.
Right. So now you started your business really young. I did too. I was 26 when I started my first business, and I didn't have my son until I was 33. So I know that you have 2 children as well. They are all grown up now, but how did you handle, running your business and becoming a mom and, kind of managing all of that?
Well, I'm with you, Melinda. I didn't know we had that in common too, that I didn't have my kids until, my late 30s. And so, so there's so many good things about waiting to have them, is that I was really well established. And it's harder. I remember calling one of my sisters when I had my second, and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And I was crazy. She came to help me. She was like, any idiot can take care of 2 kids. And then she came to help me for a weekend, and she goes, well, maybe not in your 40s. Maybe in the 20s, because her kids were grown already. She goes, maybe not in the 40s. I said, see, exactly. So, I remember, I laughed. I used to say to people, I brought them into this world and I waved goodbye because mom's going to work. Because for their life, before the pandemic, I went to work in my office. So I went to work. So I waved goodbye to my kids. And a lot of times I went to work before they got up because my office is open from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I would go to work a lot of times before they got up. And, they grew up with a mom that was working. And I think it's now they're starting to view things differently because they're on their own. They're in their 20s, mid 20s now, and they're paying their bills and stuff. And I think that they have a new perspective.
Sure.
And so, but it was a challenge. It's a challenge, as to try to be, as a mother, you want to be there and you want to be the best mom. But if you're going to grow a business, you really have to sacrifice. Because there was a lot of times where I would have to choose. I chose to go fly across country to be at an event, to meet prospective clients, or to close a deal, and I would miss a birthday or I would miss an event at school.
Sure.
And, so it's a challenge to try to do it. What I think is interesting today is post-pandemic for women. There's men that are working remote as well, but it seems like there's still more women that are working remote. Now they're trying to raise their kids and have a full-time job. And I think that's really challenging for today, for both the employer's perspective and for the employee's perspective.
I think it is hard. I definitely think it's hard. And I'm a new empty nester, but I can remember when my son was small, like what you're talking about. One of the things that I used to do with him is make him rank things for me. So I would be like, okay, Jojo, is this an A? If it was an A event, it was a mommy got to be there, right? If it was a B event, mommy would try to be there. If it was a C event, get out of my face with a C event. Like, come on.
Right.
and so literally, that was the system that he and I used. And if I knew I had to miss something important, I made sure that my village was there and he didn't even feel me not being there.
Right.
And I also used to do really amazing things for birthdays. Like I was like the birthday monster, right? So I would always, I would surprise him the day of his birthday. Oh, we're going on the Disney cruise today. And he'd be like, nuh-uh. And he'd get to the airport and his 2 best friends and their moms were sitting there at the gate. And he was like, oh my God, we're really, So I used to try to do almost like these publisher clearinghouse kind of things because I worked a lot. I traveled a lot. I had to take care of us, but I also tried to be like, when I did something fabulous, it was pretty fabulous.
Right, exactly.
So that was always my secret weapon to get over that constant mom guilt that kind of always seems to creep up.
Right.
Now tell me about navigating, the downturn in 0809, navigating, the pandemic. You've been in business a long time, so you've been through the fire, the wind, and the rain, I would believe. So tell me about how you manage different, downturn situations.
Well, 2008, I don't really like to talk about because I had a large client that transitioned out right before the financial crisis hit. So now I say sometimes things get worse before they get better, right? And so at that time, I didn't realize that. And so it did get worse. And I just went through a hostile divorce. And so, the divorce, my kid's dad was involved. And when we divorced, I moved around the corner. So that was good because we did agree about the kids. If I was traveling, he would have them. And if he couldn't have them, then my person would take care of them if I wasn't here. But most of the time they were with their dad or myself. But regardless, for 2008, I thought I was going to go bankrupt. My volume went from here to here. And it happened like that. And I thought that I was going to replace this large client with a new one. And I had a couple opportunities that they told me that one of them, I was a finalist in an RFP. One of them had chosen me already, chosen Private Eyes. And so, but then the financial crisis happened. And the one that had chosen us said, we're selling off this division, so we're not going to go forward with this. And then
Mm.
the other one, the person that was taking me there from this other large corporation, she had a personal change, and so they decided not to go forward with this too. So
Wow.
then I was like, am I going to go bankrupt? And I remember calling my friend, and she said, don't be a loser and give up like everybody else, keep going. And then she goes, but here's my bankruptcy attorney's number. So I called
Well, by the way, yeah. No,
bankruptcy attorney goes, where are you going to live? He said, do you have enough money for a month to move? Because where are you going to live with your kids? And because I had an SBA loan attached to my house. So I was like, well, that's not going to happen. So I cried, and then I went back to work. And, then we started doing a new marketing campaign. I remember at the time, and I had no idea if it was going to work, but I started having sales calls every day from 6 a.m. till like 6 p.m. And I just do one presentation after another all day. And so we grew 100% from 2009 to 2010. And then I started paying off all my debt. And then, everything just got better from there. We just kept growing. And so, the company now, private, the other thing is I had a red logo at that time, and we were bleeding, and they changed it to green, and we've been profitable ever since. So, I don't know if there's any karma in that, but I do like green. Green is such a great color.
Well, I think 0809 really was one of those separate the wheat from the chaff kind of situations.
Yeah.
There was a lot of us that almost lost everything in 0809. And I too was going through a bad marriage that ended up in divorce shortly thereafter, the exact same time. So we are kindred spirits in a whole lot of ways. So now just to wrap this up though, I want to understand how mentorship really impacted your business and how you've been able to grow yourself as well as your business.
Yeah, so I mentioned WeBank earlier, and that's one of the boards that I've participated on. I was on the national board, and I'm on a regional board, but WeBank offers educational courses for women-owned businesses and for you to meet with corporations, but you learn so much. And so I did a program called Tuck through Dartmouth College in 2012, and I just was paying off all my debt. And the professor was like, girls, if you're smart enough to make it, you're smart enough to invest it. She said, take it out of the business. It doesn't deplete your value of your business. You'll be able to track the money was there. So if you decide to sell, you'll still be able to show the profitability, but take the money out, reinvest in what you need to, but take the rest out and invest in the market or real estate or other things. And so or buy another business, so you have another stream of revenue. And I really listened to that, took that to heart, and that changed my life. That course through WeBank that one of my clients sponsored me to do in 2012 changed my life, because in the last decade, I did exactly that. And, the real estate that we've acquired has, grown 200 or 300%. And so, I've made a lot of investments, and at the same time, I've kept Private Eyes profitable and debt-free.
Well, that's yet another thing we have in common. I did the Tuck program as well.
Dude, that's so great.
I did it as well.
And then Vistage too is another organization that I'm involved in, and that has helped me. It's a group of CEOs that meet monthly, and we help support each other with our goals and any issues that come up. Because what I've learned over the years is that and through WeBank, I have so many women CEO friends that I've acquired over the years, and some of them have large enterprise organizations, and some of them have small businesses, but we all have the same issues. We have payroll, we have rent, we have employees, we have to do marketing.
Access to capital, right? It's a very consistent sort of issue.
Yeah.
Sure. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is how have you continued to stay relevant? Because so much has changed. Like I can remember, when we got Wi-Fi in everybody's house. I can remember when social media was just becoming a thing, right? Like in 07. And now we've got AI, right? So now we're on the tipping point of another major revolution in business practice. And I'm just wondering how you've managed to roll with all this stuff. Does it make you have a headache, or are you just like, let's go, let's learn some new stuff? Like how have you managed all the change?
I think that we do have to keep learning and growing, and that's how I've been able to adapt. So, for example, when I started Private Eyes 25 years ago, our clients faxed us the applications, right? And
Yeah.
I'd run out of paper. I'd have to run to Costco and get more paper, all the time. And so today we don't use any paper in our office, and we wrote our own technology. So we're a technology company that provides the service of background screening and drug screening to our customers across the nation. So we have our own software so we can integrate with various HR systems or ATS systems, applicant tracking systems. And so having our own software allows us to be able to continue to innovate and enhance the software internally for our team so we can make their jobs easier and more efficient and better quality, but also externally for our clients and our vendors. And so, we did that at the beginning of the pandemic. Things stopped for a minute, right? So what I told my team is we're going to do two things. We're going to put all of our resources on developing this software and getting it done. And then we're going to also turn into a marketing company and keep getting new clients, even though we have the challenge of the pandemic. And we did that. And so we've been able to be sustainable and stay relevant because now we have the technology to back up our service.
Wow. And how long did it take you to develop your own software?
Well, it didn't take very long, so I'm so surprised I didn't do it sooner, because I have another service that we provide, which is getting banks and mortgage lenders the 4506C, which is your IRS tax transcript to verify the income you have for a mortgage loan or an SBA loan. And I started that division in 2010. After the financial crisis, they decided it would be a good idea if they get the IRS tax transcripts before they give out these loans. Right? And so we started offering this service, and now we're integrated with the IRS. So for consumer, if we're doing an individual's tax transcript, they'll get a link from the IRS for multi-factor authentication, and then it instantly will come into our system. So our clients can get those results back instantly on consumers. And so, I already had developed that software for that in 2010. And then I built onto it, and we were able to finish it during the pandemic. And, another thing I want to mention about the pandemic is my director of operations in 2019, in December, he said, Sandra, we got to upgrade our phone systems. And I was like, how's that going to impact our bottom line? Why would we do that? And I fought him on it, but he talked me into it. We did it. But if we wouldn't have done it, we wouldn't have been able to, when we had to
have everybody work remote, you wouldn't have had the facility.
Our phones wouldn't have worked, and it would have been a disaster. But because he suggested that we do that, and we did it. Then when we had shelter in place, everyone picked up their computer and their phone and went home, plugged it into the internet, and our clients didn't even know that we were sheltered in place.
Wow. So I'm so glad I asked you that question, because that was like such a brilliant answer. Now tell me one last thing. What is the best business advice anyone has ever given you?
I think that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. That's really the best thing somebody said to me. I cannot remember where I got it, but that's the thing I live by now. That's my mantra, is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity.
I have never heard that one, but I'm going to give you credit the first time I use it, and then I might just steal that one. Thank you so much, Sandra, for being here with me. And when we come right back, we're going to talk more with both of my guests. We're going to talk with Carla Trotman. We're going to talk more with Sandra James, and we're going to do our Hit It or Quit It panel. So stay with us.